Free Melly, free Melly, free Melly. Well, at least temporarily. Family, it's Providence. You know I'm here to tell the truth. If you've been on my channel, you know I'm hard on crime, okay? I'm not from the streets. I don't approve street activity. I'm in hip hop culture and I participate in hip hop culture, but I do think that the rampant promotion of criminal activity hurts our people. And my people, I'm talking about black people, okay? However, with that being said, we live in a country where even criminals or people we assume committed a crime deserve to have their rights upheld. What am I talking about? Well, YNW Melly continues to fight for his freedom. He was charged with double murder by the state of Florida, and he has been now locked up for 7 years and has not been found guilty of a crime. He is now currently going through a bond hearing in which they have not yet rendered a verdict. Even though media outlets were reporting that his bond was denied, Melly released a statement from his official Instagram saying the bond has not been denied as of recording this video, and they're still awaiting a decision for that. Family, there's no doubt in my mind that YNW Melly is guilty. I watched the first trial. I thought the prosecutor made her case. She did make some mistakes. Not every witness she brought was a slam dunk witness, but I felt like as the trial went on, they began to build a cumulative case that YNW Melly is guilty. There is no smoking gun piece of evidence, but a bunch of circumstantial evidence does begin to paint a picture. And in my opinion, when the prosecution finished their case, I was convinced beyond reasonable doubt that YNW Melly is guilty. However, it went to a jury that the state and the defense agreed upon, and that jury came back hung. Now, there was all kinds of post speculation as to why that was. Allegedly, there was this female juror who just wasn't going no matter what. She was just convinced from the very beginning she was going to go with a not guilty plea. And allegedly, she convinced 2 other people to go not guilty as well, when they were mostly all convinced that he was guilty and was going to find him guilty of manslaughter. The verdict came back, hung jury, and now since 2023, Melly has been waiting for a second trial. And I am here to say that even though I believe that YNW Melly is guilty, that man should not be locked up for 7+ years after having not been found guilty. If we believe as a society that the presumption of innocence is a thing, you cannot really logically, in my understanding, actually uphold the idea that someone is presumed innocent until proven guilty if they have been locked up for 7 years and have not been found guilty. What you're saying is this person we believe is guilty, and now he has to prove that he's innocent. We are not awaiting a trial for him to prove that he's innocent. That's what you're saying. And again, I hate to make this about race. I ain't no race baiter, but I'm gonna keep it a stack. The truth is the truth. We understand as black people that at the end of the day, this country's always been about you having to prove you're innocent. The presumption is you're guilty, and now you got to show why you're not guilty. Okay. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like this whole case is just some sort of injustice because Melly's black. No, there's, in my opinion, like I said, real strong evidence that he's guilty, and he's charged with a serious crime. Double murder is as about bad as it gets. To make matters worse for Melly, the state believes he was involved in witness tampering. Now, they charged him for that and then subsequently dropped those charges, but they didn't drop those charges because they didn't think he did it. They dropped those charges because they didn't want to have to waste the time to try to prove it. So they were going to have a separate trial for him when it came to the witness tampering, but they was like, man, let's just let this go. And I guess let's just focus on the main trial coming up. So they never went through with that trial, but they're nonetheless going to tell the judge, hey, look, even though we dropped these charges, we still think he was involved in tampering with the witnesses. And if we give him bail and he's out on bond, it's ridiculous to think he's going to sit there and just be a good guy and do nothing. He's going to try to disrupt the case to make the state's case more difficult to find him guilty. And so the state says we have no real interest to let this guy out, so that he will more than likely go and try to mess with the witnesses to make our case harder. So Melly is, to be fair, swimming upstream, because to be charged with double murder and then the state think that you involved yourself in tampering with witnesses, they're going to be like, yo, judge, I don't know why you letting this guy out. But the fact of the matter is, the state did not follow through with those charges. And the charges that they did bring, it was a hung jury. And so it does not make sense to me how you can continue to uphold the law, the standard of innocent until proven guilty, when clearly 7 years in, keeping him locked up, you are communicating that you believe that he's guilty. YNW Melly receiving bail would not be the real scandal, in my opinion. The real scandal would be that the system let this case drag on for 8 years with a mistrial in the middle. That's not justice for anyone. That's not justice for the victim's family, not the defendant, not the public. Retrying a double murder case in 2027 after this much time, that is a failure of the system. This should not be the case. And I personally think that whether it's the state making charges or the feds making charges, there needs to be federal law in place that says, listen, you bring these charges, you got to be ready to go in a year, under a year. We got to go to trial. I don't care. Okay, maybe you need some time to push something back, bunch of motions, blah, blah, blah. But it should be federally mandated for all the states. You have to be ready to go to trial in under a year. If that's not the case, then whoever it is, and it doesn't matter what the crime, they are immediately let out on bail. Now, it could be very strict house arrest, and we have the technology to do that. Or if the crime not that serious, whatever the case may be, they just out on bail. But at the end of the day, it should be the case that there's a time limit on this, because you wouldn't have brought charges against the defendant in the first place if you didn't already build the case, right? Neither the state or the feds are going to charge unless they've already spent time building a case that they know that they can prove. So then if you already have a case that you know that you can prove, why are you waiting this long? It shouldn't take 7-8 years for the state to prove the case against someone for something that they've charged. That's ridiculous. That's inhumane. And at the end of the day, no society that claims to believe that someone is innocent until proven guilty should be allowing this to happen. And I say that as somebody who thinks Melly is guilty of terrible and heinous crimes, but the laws are the laws. He went through a trial. It was a mistrial. Why they continue to allow this to happen, I don't know. What they need to do is lock Melly down, give him all kinds of ankle monitors, cameras, restrict his movement, make sure that he's on every watch list in the world so he can't hop a plane and get up out of here, right? Keep him from tampering with witnesses, bug his phones, whatever y'all got to do, right? But he should be allowed to be in the free world awaiting for this trial that's not scheduled to happen until 2027. But anyway, family, those have been my thoughts. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments. Is it free Melly or nah? Keep him locked up. He crazy. Let me know. If you like the video, please like the video. If you've made it to this point in the video, I ask that you would please support a small creator with your subscription. I'm trying to build a channel. Thank you guys all for the support. It's been Providence. I will see you guys in the next video.